Welcome to Renno TV Network, the home of the most innovative people in real estate. I am your host, Graham Silver. Our team has searched far and wide to bring you some of the very best real estate business professionals who are on top of their game. Today, we will get up close and personal with our guests as they will share with us their personal story, meet their team, and hear what changes are occurring in business right now. Please help me welcome my guest, Randy Plaice.
Thank you, Graham. As he was saying, my name is Randy Plaice. I'm with Keller Williams VIP Properties out here in Santa Clarita, but I also serve the greater Los Angeles area. So I specialize in Santa Clarita and the San Fernando Valley areas, but I can help you anywhere in greater Los Angeles, on the buying side or the selling side. Now, one thing that I'm going to talk about later on in the show are interest rates and why it's such a great time to buy. But I wanted to touch upon it a little bit now, just because there's so much interest right now on the buying side, and I want to explain why that is. Now, because interest rates are so low, we're talking historic lows, people can now afford to go into home ownership at the same price that a lot of times you're paying in rent, or maybe even less after you take into consideration the tax ramifications. So it's a great time to look at your options. Talk to me. Talk to Keith Renno, who you'll meet later on in the show, and find out what your options are. And do the numbers and see if it makes sense. Now, on the selling side, it's also a great time to sell. And the reason why is the same reason why it's a great time to buy, because you have a bunch of buyers now who are able to afford, various properties. Whether your property is $200,000 or $500,000, it makes no difference, because there's more people who are now able to purchase that property, and that creates a multiple offer situation. So that tends to drive your property up in value. So if we price it, let's say $500,000 is where we think it should be priced, and we price it right there, you're going to have a lot of buyers walking through your doors that ultimately are going to be putting offers in and fighting for that property. Inventory is very, very low, so that also contributes because of the law of supply and demand. You're going to have more people coming through there, able to buy now because the interest rates are so low, and they're not able to find the right properties just because inventory is so tight. So when they find that property that you have, they're going to come in at it with as strong of an offer as humanly possible. So it's very important to take a look at all the properties that are out there on a daily basis, which I do with my clients, and educate them that once they find that right property, they have to be ready with a strong offer, a pre-approval, and make sure their proof of funds and their deposit is all ready to go. Now, I touched upon briefly the selling side and why it's a good time to sell. But I wanted to tell you that one property that I just sold was up in the Tesoro area. It was on Gable Ranch at 2449 Gable Ranch. And it's a beautiful home, castle property, 3,631 square feet. Beautiful home, immaculate. The overall condition of the home was great, pride of ownership throughout. And that property we had appraised previously for $700,000. Now, because the market has changed and there's so much interest now and there's so much more buyers now able to buy properties in that range, the property then went up in value because the supply and demand thing came in. So because of that, we were able to sell and close that property at $750,000. That closed just a couple days ago. So my clients were ecstatic. They were able to get $50,000 more than what they originally thought they were going to be able to get for their property. Now, I have another property. This is a short sale situation, which we'll talk about later on in the show as well, but it was on Meadowlark Court. And this one was a different property altogether. Still very good condition, still very well maintained, but it was priced very low. It was priced at $269,000. And the minute that we put this in the MLS, we put it in on a Friday, we had 18 offers within 24 hours. So it sold like that. The reason why? Everybody wants to get in. Everybody wants to have pride of ownership. And everybody now has the ability to do that because of interest rates. So if you have any questions, please give me a call. I'd be more than happy to go over all your options at absolutely no obligation. There's no pressure. I'm not a sales guy at all. I just want to give you your options and be a consultant for you in the realm of real estate. So feel free to give me a call. And as the show progresses, you'll learn more about short sales and lending and client testimonials. There'll be a lot more that we cover here. But I just wanted to kind of go over some of the benefits and some of the overall market conditions that are affecting us today. So thank you so much, and I look forward to seeing you later on the show.
Randy has brought on a special guest, Keith Renno with Pacific Funding. Let's see what they have to say.
I'm sitting here with Keith Renno from the Renno Team from Pacific Funding. Keith, if you can, explain what makes Pacific Funding different and why you guys are my preferred lender out here in Santa Clarita.
Absolutely. Well, we are a direct lender offering a wide range of loan programs at today's most competitive interest rates. Our corporate office, where we process, underwrite, and fund our customers' loans, has been located in the Santa Clarita Valley since 1995. And Randy, as you know, that is where we have a dedicated mortgage staff focused on customer care.
Well, one thing that you just mentioned was most competitive interest rates. I know buyers right now are coming to me because the interest rates are so phenomenally low right now. How low are they?
Well, that's a great question. Depending on the borrower's qualifications and the loan program, the low to mid threes on a 30-year fix, they are the lowest they've ever been. We have reached an historic low.
Now, is there a difference if they were going to use, say, an FHA product as opposed to a conventional product? Is there a difference in terms of interest rate?
Yes, the FHA interest rate right now is slightly lower compared to the conventional rate. It does go back and forth depending on the market and how interest rates are bought and sold in the secondary market. There's a slight difference. Right now the FHA rate is 1/8 to 1/4% below the conventional rates. However, with the conventional financing, if you're putting down less than 20%, there's more flexibility when it comes to the mortgage insurance. So depending on that client's individual qualifications, we go over the pros and cons of the different options.
That's great. Well, one thing that I know is very, very important is when you get an offer as a listing agent, to make sure that that buyer who's coming in and making that offer is able to really close the deal. Now, when I have a listing, I make sure they get pre-approved with you guys because I know if you give them that stamp of approval, that means something. That means you guys can really fund that loan and it's going to happen. Now, how quickly could someone get pre-approved?
That's a great question. Once we have all the client's documentations, within a few hours, typically it's a 24-hour process for us to notify that client what they need to provide us in terms of documents. If they can send those documents to us quickly, we can turn around the pre-approval within an hour or two. Really, we need a chance to review the income docs, the asset docs, review credit, and then complete a loan application. From there, we can really look at the different loan programs, options, and make sure financing is there.
That's great. And one thing that I want to touch upon is if I have a home buyer who wants to get into a condo complex, FHA traditionally out here in Santa Clarita and oftentimes in the Valley is not an option. Is that correct?
That is correct. When it comes to FHA financing, the entire complex needs to be approved by HUD. HUD is the regulator for FHA financing to approve an FHA loan within a given condo complex. With conventional financing, that is not the case. So if a buyer is looking to purchase within a condo community, I highly recommend that they look at the conventional options.
So for a residential home, first-time home, not a problem. They can use an FHA product, conventional, no problem.
In most cases, yes.
Okay, and on the conventional side, how low can they come in, out of pocket in terms of, their initial down payment?
That is a great question. When it comes to down payments with conventional financing, if the borrower's loan amount is less than $417,000, the down payment is as little as 3%. With FHA financing, 3.5%. So the down payment options are extremely low in today's market. And for our customers that haven't yet had the opportunity to save the necessary funds for the down payment or to perhaps save for closing costs, we do offer a grant program. It's called the CHF Platinum Grant. That is a grant that allows us as the lender to grant the buyer using an FHA loan 3% that they can use towards their down payment or their closing cost. So if we have a seller contribute towards the closing cost, then we can provide that grant towards the down payment. Therefore, our buyers are coming out of pocket 0.5% to 1%. That is all.
That's fantastic. Now, when you say closing costs, what does that normally cover?
Closing cost covers prepaid items such as prepaid interest on the loan, prepaying homeowners insurance, if they're setting up an impound account, setting the reserves for that impound account, title fees, escrow fees, and if any lender's fees are involved, which there are certainly options there, those are factored in as well.
Okay, well, Keith, thank you so much for taking the time to come here and educate our viewers on the whole loan process and why it's such a great time to buy. If you can, let them know how they can get a hold of you.
Thank you. You can visit us on our website, www.rennoteam.com, or do feel comfortable contacting me direct at 661-513-3118.
It's always a pleasure, Keith. Thank you so much for stopping by.
Thank you, Randy.
Now we're going to be talking about short sales, what they are, how they benefit you, and how we can help you get through that whole process. Now what a short sale is essentially is a standard sale, a regular sale, with just a few more pieces of red tape that we have to overcome. So basically, we sit down, we write up the listing contract on the same regular form as usual, and then we list your property, we put a sign in the ground, we show the property just like it's a standard sale, and we wait for offers to come in. Once we have an offer come in, then we talk about the nature of the offer, we make sure you're okay with it as the seller, and if you are, then you sign off. In a standard sale situation, what happens is, at that point, we open up escrow, usually the very next day, and then the ball gets rolling towards closing. In this situation, we still have to talk to the banks because the banks are standing to lose a lot of money. So we submit the offer at that point with a hardship package over to the bank for their consideration. Now this can take a period of 30, 60, sometimes even 90 days for them to get back to us and get a negotiator assigned to that account. So then we can open up dialogue. I've got a dedicated team of short sale negotiators that I work with that deal directly with the bank on your behalf. No cost to you. You don't pay anything at all during this whole process. And basically what they do is once we hear back from the bank and a negotiator has been assigned, they talk to them and they justify why the cost is where it is and why the bank needs to take the hit that they're taking. So if you hypothetically bought the house 3 years ago for $500,000 and we have an offer on the table for $300,000, now they justify why that's a good price based on market conditions and comps in the area and all that kind of stuff. So once that's done and once the bank or the series of banks have signed off as well, then we open up escrow and then we transition into your new life after the close of escrow and after that's behind you. So that's that piece. Now the benefits and the differences between a short sale and having your home go to foreclosure are very many. There's a huge list, but I'll just touch on a few of the primary ones. Let's say you have a government job, for example. The government oftentimes will restrict you from having security clearance if you have things like this on your credit. So it can affect your employment with the government entity. Now, on the employment side, it can also affect your ability to get a future job because many employers now are checking credit. That's one of the things they're looking for to see how credit worthy you are because they think that that's a direct representation of your character. So that can also affect you. Now, your credit also gets hit more. You potentially could be facing liability in terms of long-term deficiency judgments. Right now you're protected due to legislation, but in the future we don't know. So that $200,000 that the bank lost, they theoretically may be able to come after you for later on. We don't want that to happen. And the most important, in my opinion, reason why you want to do a short sale, as opposed to letting it go to foreclosure, is that you maintain control over the whole entire process. So as the homeowner, you can still feel that you're the homeowner. You're deciding when people are coming through your home. You're deciding if a sign's in the ground, who your agent is, all that kind of stuff. You're making those decisions, and that's very important. So those are the primary reasons why you'd want to do a short sale as opposed to letting your home go to foreclosure. You definitely don't want to do that. And it's free to you. It's absolutely free to you. There's no cost to you whatsoever to employ me and my team to protect you and give you all these advantages. Now, my team, what we can do for you is simple. We sit down with you, we have a no obligation, no stress consultation, and then at that point we determine if you're a candidate. If you truly do have a hardship, if we think the banks would accept your offer, if an offer came in based on a hardship that you're representing to us, and we have that dialogue as well. So we see if it's something that'll work. If it does, we go to bat on your behalf and we help you every step of the way. We communicate with you every step. So if you have any questions, it's a very stressful time, a bunch of questions come up sometimes in the middle of the night, you toss, you turn, you can't sleep. It helps you so you're able to have those questions answered and you're no longer feeling out of sorts and you have a go-to entity that's working on your behalf. So it's just like having legal counsel, but it's free in this case. So if you have any questions, please call me at any time. In Santa Clarita, my number is 661-505-8531. In San Fernando Valley, it's 818-294-0414. And our website that's dedicated solely to short sale information, including informational videos, blogs, things like that, it's scvshortsalerelief.com. So if you have any more questions, call me at any time. I'm here to help. Thanks. I'm back with Gene Bleeker, who is well known out here as the premier title rep for all of title insurance in Santa Clarita. So, Gene, what makes you the premier agent in the eyes of agents like myself? And what makes you the go-to guy for us to send our beloved clients to?
Well, thank you, Randy. That's a great compliment. And I think the answer is really simple. If I could help take agents to where they want to go in business, everybody wins. You know, I've learned a very simple philosophy: is sit down, talk to real estate agents about what their challenges are in the business, what their headaches are in the business, or the roadblocks or stumbling blocks. And if I can help an agent like you overcome those challenges, you win, we win, the consumer wins, and it just makes a great relationship. I just believe that title insurance, we're all the same. I wish I could say that we had the best coverages in the world, or the best product in the world, or the best portfolio, but you know, with the Department of Insurance, we're very much vanilla. Our fees are almost identical, our coverages are identical, and the only thing that's different in our title policies is the little logo that you see on top of it. So I wish I can compete on pricing or on coverages, but I can't. So sitting down and talking to a real estate professional at their level or on their level, it really helps me understand what I can do as a title professional to help you get to where you want to go.
Well, speaking to the consumer, a lot of them really don't understand what title insurance is and really what it can do to benefit them and why they need it. So if you can, explain a little bit more about title insurance and the benefit to the consumer.
Great question. And the answer is really quite simple. When a buyer buys a home, they need to get title insurance if there's going to be a loan on the property. So what we do is we find out when a buyer wants to search a property. We get to look at the property to see if there's any liens or judgments or easements on the property. And if there are, we get to notify the buyer that, hey, we've got a challenge and we've got to work on it. And it's also a benefit to the seller as well, because when they transfer the property over, they want to transfer it over free and clear. So we get to do the best of both worlds. We get to create a policy for the seller. The seller's extremely happy that they can provide clear title. The buyer gets clear title, and they get to prove to their lender that the home and property is in good standing. Because I do want to share one thing with you.
Sure.
Title insurance, it's not a state or government requirement by any means. A lender does not want to give away any of its money unless they understand that when somebody purchases a home, that they are the rightful buyer and the rightful seller, and that there is clear titles. So it's really the responsibility of us as a title company just to make all parties happy.
Well, one thing that you didn't touch upon that I'm realizing as a benefit in using your services in particular is that when I'm dealing with clients that are experiencing short sales and things like that, I can call you or one of your reps. I mean, you have many reps that I can call, and all of a sudden I can get information that's critically important for my client, so I can find out how many loans they have on the property, I can find out the amounts and things of that nature, which ultimately help them get out from under a really sticky situation.
And that's true, Randy, because with title insurance, you know, Randy doesn't have all the answers. Their brokers don't have all the answers. The lender or the escrow doesn't have all the answers. So they do come to title to find out if there are any challenges on the property. You know, we get calls all the time if people are looking for Mello-Roos information. We get calls from real estate agents wanting to see if there's ingress or egress on the property. And these are all things that we want to do just to simplify your business and just make sure that you are doing a great service for your customers by us doing a great service for you.
Well, there's no question that you do a fantastic service for me and for my clients, and for that I thank you. And more importantly, today, thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to help educate our viewers and to spend some quality time with me. It's always great seeing you.
Well, you know what, Randy, you're more than just a business partner, you're a friend of mine, and there's nothing I wouldn't do to help you go where you want to go in the business. And the one thing that I do know about you, Randy, is talking to your customers, because I do have the luxury to talk to your customers, is that they're very fond of the way that you do business and the way that you handle business, and that, you know, it's more than just a transaction. You create a great relationship with your customers, which I think is priceless. So thank you for being who you are in the business as well, my friend.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
In closing today, I wanted to really thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to watch all the programming we put on in front of you today. We covered short sales, we spoke a little bit with Gene Bleeker about the title side of the business, and we also talked to Keith Renno from Pacific Funding. So we talked a little bit about the lending side and why it's such a good time to buy as well. One thing that I really wanted to touch upon is that, and Gene said it a little bit, but I do value the relationships that I have with my clients. Our relationship far supersedes the transaction. It's not about the transaction, it's about the relationship that we build both before, during, and after the deal. So at any point, if you have a question, you need something, before, during, after, call me. I want to be a resource for you. I want to be a go-to person for you. So please don't hesitate to call me and let me be that resource for you. Now, the very last thing I wanted to say is there are many people in your specific situation, no matter what it is. If you have equity, if you're a buyer, if you're short selling, whatever it is, there's many people just like you out there, and I've helped many families like that in a very similar situation very recently. There was one family in particular that I just helped get out of a very sticky short sale situation who thought they were going to lose their home. We got the listing on a Friday night. We talked to the guy. He says, look, my home's going to be sold Monday morning. What can you do? I talked to them. We filed for bankruptcy through a bankruptcy attorney. He knew he was already planning on doing that, so that was the option he wanted to take. And we got the sale stopped, postponed, and then ultimately we got the house sold. So we had all the benefits of the short sale. So that's just one example of things that we can do and how I can help service you. So if you have any questions or if you need anything at all, please call me at any time. In Santa Clarita, my number is 661-505-8531. And in the San Fernando Valley area, it's 818-294-0414. And my websites for short sales are scvshortsalerelief.com. And my regular website for all areas of real estate is www.randyplaice.com. So thank you so much again for taking the time out. I look forward to seeing you the next time.
Thanks, Randy, for all your insight and getting up close and personal with Renno TV. We look forward to having you as our guest in the future. Well, that's all for now. I'm your host, Graham Silver. We'll see you soon.